Why are you asking so many questions? Sarah's voice was sharp, too sharp for a simple question. She hadn't even looked up from her phone when she said it, her fingers tapping away at a message she clearly didn't want me to see. I wasn't asking that many questions. Just one. What time will you be home tonight? She sighed, setting her phone face down on the table. Late. There's a big project at work. I already told you. She had. But something felt off. Sarah wasn't just acting different, she was hiding something. The way she shielded her phone, the forced smiles, the excuses that felt rehearsed. It wasn't paranoia if the pieces didn't fit. It was reality. She used to leave her phone lying around the house, always on loud, always an open book. Now, it was always in her pocket, always on silent. If it buzzed and I was nearby, she'd angle the screen away, flipping it face down. She used to text me during the day. Little things, updates about work, jokes, memes. Now hours would pass with nothing. If I texted first, she'd take forever to respond. Then there were the late nights. At first it made sense. Her job had always been demanding. But lately, she was coming home later and later, always exhausted, always with an excuse. It's just work, babe. My boss is piling everything on me. You wouldn't understand. It's corporate politics. I wanted to believe her. But something had changed between us. The way she looked at me wasn't the same. The way she kissed me, when she even bothered to, felt like a habit, not a desire. And worst of all, the gut feeling, that gnawing, crawling sense of unease, the one I tried to push down, to rationalize away, but no matter how much I told myself I was overthinking it, I couldn't shake the feeling that Sarah was hiding something, and I had to find out what. Last night was incredible. I can still feel you. Can't wait to do it again. The words kept playing in my head, looping over and over like a song I couldn't turn off. I could be at work, sipping coffee, trying to focus on my emails, but the text would come rushing back. I could be driving, stuck in traffic, mindlessly listening to the radio, and suddenly those words would echo in my mind again. I could be lying in bed next to Sarah, staring at the ceiling in the dark, while she slept peacefully beside me, completely unaware that her husband had read a message that changed everything. Every time I looked at her, my stomach twisted. Who sent it? How long had this been going on? Was it just one night? Or had I been living in ignorance for months? I needed answers. The morning after reading that message, I barely spoke to Sarah. She didn't seem to notice. She hummed while she made coffee, scrolled through her phone, kissed me on the cheek before heading out the door, like nothing was wrong. But something was wrong, and I was going to find out exactly what. As soon as she left, I moved quickly. I had already spent half the night researching. I knew exactly what I needed. A small motion-activated camera. I picked it up on my way to work, my palms clammy as I carried the tiny box to the counter. Was this what my marriage had come to? I swallowed down the guilt. I needed to know. That evening, while Sarah was still at work, I set up the camera. It blended in seamlessly on the bookshelf, angled perfectly toward the living room and hallway leading to the front door. She would never notice. If I was wrong, I'd delete the footage and move on. But if I was right, I didn't let myself finish that thought. That night, after Sarah had fallen asleep, I grabbed my phone and checked the footage. The screen flickered to life, showing the timestamp. 7 p.m. Sarah walked in, tossed her purse on the counter, kicked off her shoes. Nothing unusual. 7:15 p.m. She scrolled through her phone, took a sip of wine, watched TV. 7:30 p.m. Ordered takeout, ate alone. By the time I reached the end of the footage, I exhaled, feeling both relieved and frustrated. Was I really that paranoid? I told myself I'd give it another day. The second night, I checked again. Same thing. Sarah came home, went about her usual routine, ate dinner, watched TV. No strange calls, no visitors, no affair. I started to feel ridiculous. Had I let one vague text push me into full-blown paranoia? Maybe she really had just been chatting with a friend. Maybe there was nothing to find, and maybe I was being a fool. But then came night 3. It started off the same. Sarah walked in, poured herself a glass of wine, scrolled through her phone. Then her entire demeanor changed. Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it instantly. And then she smiled. Not just any smile, the kind of smile you give someone who makes your heart race. She started typing quickly, pausing every few seconds, waiting for a response. Then it came. She laughed. A soft, flirtatious giggle, the kind I hadn't heard from her in years. I leaned forward, my pulse quickening. She ran a hand through her hair, tilting her head slightly, the way she used to when we first started dating. And then she called someone. I couldn't hear the words, just the tone, light, playful, teasing. 13 minutes. She leaned against the counter, twirling her hair, her voice low and teasing. And when she finally hung up, she let out a happy sigh, the kind of sigh that used to be for me. The footage ended. I stared at the screen, my stomach in knots. She hadn't done anything physical. She hadn't even left the house. But that look on her face, that phone call, she wasn't talking to a coworker. She wasn't talking to a friend. She was falling for someone. For the next 2 weeks, I kept watching. Every night, the same routine. Sarah would come home, act normal, and then wait. She was always waiting for something, a message, a call, a reason to smile. And when it came, she would light up. Some nights she'd take her calls to another room. Other nights she'd laugh and twirl her hair like a teenager in love. Then one night, she slipped up. She was in the kitchen whispering into her phone when I heard it. A name. "You're terrible, Daniel." Daniel. Finally a name. I clenched my fists, my entire body tense. Who the hell was Daniel? The night everything changed, I wasn't home. I had to leave town for work. An overnight trip, just one night. Sarah kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong, like she wasn't spending every evening wrapped up in conversations with another man. I got to my hotel, threw my bag onto the bed, and immediately checked the camera. The video loaded. I hit play. The timestamp read 7 p.m. Sarah walked in, scrolling through her phone. 7:10 p.m. She poured wine, checked the door twice. 7:20 p.m. She texted someone. 7:30 p.m. She walked to the front door. 7:32 p.m. The door opened, and he walked in. A man, tall, confident, moving through my house like he belonged there. My heart pounded against my ribs. Sarah didn't hesitate, didn't check her surroundings, didn't even hesitate for a second. She stepped closer, heart racing, eyes shining with something I hadn't seen in years. And then she kissed him. Slow, deliberate, familiar, like she had done it 100 times before. My fingers tightened around my phone as the screen blurred, my vision clouding with rage. This wasn't a mistake. This was a routine. And that was what broke me the most. I sat motionless in my hotel room, staring at my phone screen. My hands were clammy, my stomach in knots. This was it, the moment of truth. I pressed play. The timestamp read 7 p.m. Sarah walked in, scrolling through her phone, her lips curving into a small smile. She looked excited. She poured herself a glass of wine, fixed her hair in the mirror, then checked her phone again. She was waiting for someone. Then at exactly 7:32 p.m., the front door opened, and he walked in. I expected a coworker, a personal trainer, maybe even some random man I had never seen before. But when I saw his face, my breath caught. Mark Reynolds, my mentor, my boss, the man who shook my hand, toasted my successes, promised me a future, and now he was here, in my house, with my wife, the man who had invited me to company dinners, the man who had mentored me, the man who sat across from me in meetings discussing my promotion. And now he was in my house, with my wife. Sarah's face lit up as he stepped inside. She didn't hesitate, didn't look nervous, didn't even check to see if the coast was clear. She just kissed him, slow, familiar, like this was routine. Mark smirked, slipping his hands around her waist as if he had done it 1,000 times before. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to keep watching. Mark shrugged off his coat and poured himself a drink from my whiskey bottle, settled onto my couch like he owned the place, like I didn't exist. They talked, laughed. Then at some point, Mark pulled out his phone and leaned closer. "Everything's set," he murmured. "I just need you to tweak the numbers a little. Nothing drastic." Sarah frowned, biting her lip. "Mark, this is risky. If someone looks closely at the reports..." "They won't." Mark cut in smoothly, swirling the whiskey in his glass. "That's why I need you to handle it. You're careful. You know how to make things look normal." I inhaled sharply. This wasn't just an affair. This was something else. Sarah hesitated. "I don't know. If the board finds out..." Mark leaned in, his voice lower now. "Listen, you want out of that low-level finance role, right? You want more? I can make that happen, but I need your help first. I clenched my fists. He wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was using her, manipulating her. And the worst part? She wasn't resisting. She wanted in. Sarah exhaled slowly. All right, what exactly do you need me to do? Mark smirked, pulling up something on his phone. He handed it to her. I leaned closer, squinting at the screen. It was a financial document, spreadsheets, numbers, the company's quarterly earnings report. Sarah scrolled through the spreadsheet, her fingers tightening around the phone. You want me to forge financial reports? Mark, this isn't just bending numbers, this is fraud. Prison-level fraud. Not alter, just adjust. Mark, this isn't just fudging expenses. This is fraud. Shh, he murmured, placing a hand on her thigh. It's not fraud if no one notices. My stomach churned. I knew these reports. I had worked on them. And now, my wife was sitting there casually discussing how to manipulate the numbers to hide something. Sarah exhaled, rubbing her forehead. If we get caught... We won't, Mark assured her. I've done this before. Trust me. I shut off the video, my pulse roaring in my ears. This wasn't just infidelity. This was corporate fraud. And Sarah was right in the middle of it. I wanted to storm out, to call her, scream at her, demand answers. But what would that accomplish? She'd deny it. Cry. Lieutenant? And Mark? He'd protect himself. He'd throw her under the bus in a heartbeat. Remember, I needed to be smart. I needed to destroy them both. I copied the footage onto a secure drive. Then I started digging. If Mark had done this before, there would be more than whispers. And if Sarah was involved, she wouldn't just be covering for him. She'd be leaving a trail. I sat in my hotel room, staring at the paused footage on my laptop screen. Sarah's voice still echoed in my ears. If we get caught? We won't, Mark had assured her. I've done this before. Trust me. My fingers tightened into a fist. Trust. That was the word that stung the most. I had trusted Sarah. I had trusted Mark. And they had both spit in my face. I couldn't just confront her. That would be too easy. Mark was too powerful, too careful. He wasn't just some cheating scumbag. He was a businessman who knew how to cover his tracks. And Sarah? She wasn't innocent either. She hadn't just betrayed our marriage. She had helped him commit fraud. I needed a plan. I needed to be smart. So I started digging. I pulled up my work laptop, my heart pounding as I accessed internal company reports. It didn't take long to find exactly what I was looking for. Sarah had been responsible for financial reports for the past 6 months. And sure enough, there were discrepancies. Numbers didn't lie. The adjustments weren't drastic, just small enough to avoid raising red flags. But put together, it painted a much bigger picture. Mark was hiding something, and Sarah had helped him do it. I didn't sleep that night. I spent hours gathering every piece of evidence I could find. Emails, financial reports, transfer records, the video footage. By morning, I had a digital folder full of proof. And then I made my next move. First, I sent an anonymous tip to the company's legal team. Then I forwarded everything to an investigative journalist I knew would take the story and run with it. And finally, I sent the footage of Sarah and Mark straight to the board of directors. The subject line was simple. Your CEO has been busy. By the afternoon, all hell broke loose. I was still at the airport when my phone started blowing up. First, a company-wide email. Effective immediately, Mark Reynolds has been placed on indefinite leave pending an internal investigation. I smirked. Step 1. Complete. Then another call. Sarah. I let it ring, then another, and another. By the time I landed, I had over 20 missed calls. I didn't pick up. I wasn't ready yet. When I walked through the front door that evening, Sarah was already waiting. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. What did you do? I set my bag down calmly. You should be more specific. She swallowed hard. Mark is being investigated. They're saying there are emails, reports. I crossed my arms. Yeah. And her eyes darted toward me, searching for something. Did you send something in? I let a slow smirk creep onto my face. Sarah's breath hitched. Her fingers twitched. For the first time I saw it, the moment she realized she had lost everything. I didn't need to say it. Her expression crumbled. Oh my God. I tilted my head. You thought no one would notice, huh? Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't know what else to do. Mark. Mark! I snapped, stepping closer. Mark what? Manipulated you? Forced you? She didn't respond, because she knew the truth. She had made her choice. And now she was facing the consequences. Then came the final blow. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a manila envelope. I tossed it onto the table between us. Sign them. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened the folder. Her face went white. Divorce papers? I nodded. She let out a shaky breath, eyes pleading. Wait, can we just talk about this first? Please. I let out a dry laugh. Talk? Yes. She stepped closer. I know I messed up, but I didn't want to hurt you. It just happened. I shook my head. No, Sarah, mistakes happen. Affairs don't. Her lip quivered. I love you. I laughed in her face. You love me? I gestured to the couch. You loved me while you were sleeping with my boss? Tears streamed down her face. I was scared. Scared of what? Of losing everything. She sobbed. My job, my career. I didn't know it would turn into this. I took a deep breath, steadying myself, and then I dropped the final bombshell. You don't have to worry about your career anymore, I said coldly. Sarah froze. What? I smiled. You're fired. She blinked. What are you talking about? I shrugged. I told you, I sent the video to the board. Your name was all over those reports, Sarah. You're just as guilty as Mark. Her knees buckled. She physically staggered back. And for the first time, I saw it. True fear. Because now, she finally understood. She had lost everything. Trust is a fragile thing. It takes years to build and only seconds to shatter. Sarah had been my wife, my partner, and the person I thought I would spend my life with. And yet, she had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Not just by being unfaithful, but by choosing greed, deception, and self-interest over the life we had built together. The moment she decided to cross that line, she stopped being my wife. She became just another person I used to know. The truth always finds its way out. Sarah thought she was careful, she thought she was in control, but secrets unravel, lies crumble, and in the end, there is no escaping the weight of one's own deception. She thought she was playing the game, but she didn't realize I had already set the pieces in motion, and when the truth surfaced, she lost everything. People always ask, why didn't you just confront her when you found out? Why go through all the trouble of exposing everything? The answer is simple. Rage would have given her power. If I had stormed in, yelling and demanding answers, she would have turned the story around, played the victim, spun a new web of lies. Instead, I waited. I watched. I let her believe she had won. And when I struck, I made sure there was nothing left for her to salvage. Revenge is best served cold. I didn't have to destroy her. She did that herself. All I did was let her face the consequences of her choices. The job, the reputation, the stability she had fought so hard to maintain, gone. And the best part, she had no one to blame but herself. After everything, I walked away with my dignity. I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I didn't let anger consume me. I just let the truth do what it always does. Set things right. In the end, that was enough. So if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. And when that happens, you have two choices. Let the betrayal break you, or use it to remind yourself of what you truly deserve. The truth is a cruel thing. It doesn't just set you free, it burns everything in its path. So tell me, would you rather drown in a beautiful lie, or choke on the ugly truth? Or would you rather live in blissful ignorance, never knowing the lies happening right behind your back?